Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back with another video from Totally Not Mark. We're checking out his final One Piece review. So far, anyway. The Wano arc, Act 3. I've really enjoyed checking out his reviews. This has served as a nice little recap for me reading volume 98. And I don't know whether to do the movie reviews afterwards. Let me know in the comments whether I should. But I definitely want to check out the checkered fate theory. And if there's going to be any spoilers, let me know also. I will have read volume 98 by then. Pre-ordered volume 99. But anyway, let's get into this review, shall we?
Now that I'm completely up to date with the series, I think it's appropriate for me to finally be able to say, and for memory's sake, One Piece is the best series I've ever read in my entire life.
I'm reading Berserk at the moment, and I'm kind of finding it better, but I'm not sure, like... This part's so freaking sick, though. Especially with the flashback with Oden and Roger in that. Yeah.
Everything from its scene selection to its
characters, flashback's incredible.
Its dialogue, and to its artwork. Wano is an arc that is quite literally giving us Oda at his absolute best, and I cannot wait to discuss that today. This has been a humbling experience and one I won't soon forget. Oh, also, I hope you stay until the end because myself and my editor decided to throw in something a little different. With that out of the way, for the final time, until Act 3 completes, I'm Totally Not Mark, and these are my first impressions of, thoughts on, and review for the timeless, the spectacular, and the shocking Wano Act 3.
This is so sick. Oh, Whitebeard and Whitebeard and Roger fighting is just like, wow! And Shanks and Boogie Beat. Oh, maybe just that.
I think it's important for me to say that this arc is, without reservation or hesitation, the single best arc I think Oda has ever written.
I'm not gonna argue.
Nothing but blank pages for the next 50 chapters, and I would still say that this is easily the best experience I've ever had in all of One Piece. Never, and I mean never in my life have I ever been so blown away by a portion of storytelling. This is honestly nothing like anything I've seen.
Mate, Oden's backstory is just like, it's emotional, man.
It's a harrowing, tragic, and painful.
Yeah, like none of the main cast are in this at all.
Through the perspective of Kinemon and Oden himself as they live their lives to the bitter end. I cannot begin to describe the feelings this section of the story instilled within me, but I will try my best to do that today. Join me on this journey through what I believe to be the single best part of any fiction I've ever read.
God damn, he loved it.
Chapters 956 and 957. As has become a trend across the three intermission sections between Acts 1, 2, and now 3, Oda has elected to fill us in on all the goings-on surrounding the Reverie and the days following from it. What I liked most about this particular one was how it played with our expectations. Generally speaking, a reader likes to look for a pattern for which to derive meaning. So in the case of these intermissions, we sort of isolate them and recognize them as they concern the events outside of the main story that are only...
I can't wait to like see what happens outside of Wano, man, like, cause all these little hints and little bits and bobs.
This chapter largely concerns the reactions from major players like Blackbeard taking action in response to how things are unfolding after the Reverie. Why this is an effective way to open the chapter is down to anticipation. Oda knows that while we're reading this, we are also recalling the events of the prior intermission chapter, and so this big news we are awaiting concerning the revolutionaries' efforts marching on Marijoa. And while there is a certain foreboding tone concerning the fate of Sabo, it's most definitely not the main takeaway from this chapter. Not even a little bit. Also,
everyone like
to count Sabo out just yet. The kids bounce back.
I don't think he's. I think he's done something that
not again. Instead, this chapter fills us in on the decisions the world government have come to concerning, get this, the dissolvement of the warlords of the sea,
get rid of them,
leading to the likes of Buggy, Mihawk, and even Boa Hancock being cornered. So while Luffy and co are toughing it out inside Wano for survival, the rest
the
of the
7 warlords of the sea are like defending
Lord
themselves because they are no longer able to do whatever they like.
This intermission, however, is also noteworthy as it is the first of 3 intermissions to be more than 1 chapter long, with the second concerning the history of an impossibly large-scale battle which was briefly mentioned by Garp in the last intermission before in Act 2. In it, Sengoku details the events surrounding the Rock's pirates.
Oh mate, yeah.
chieftain by the imposing and impressive Rocks himself, what's perhaps most noteworthy regarding this instance is that his crew was made up of individuals such as Kaido, Big Mom, and
Whitebeard. Yeah.
which honestly adds nice context
What?
to the panels Whitebeard was seen in as a young man way back towards Marineford, as that crew that we saw in the background that he was engaging with could very well have been the Rocks Pirates in its heyday. And honestly, reading this chapter was the most engaged I've been in quite
There's
a
just so
while.
much history and lore.
And it's with great reason. We get the backstory, albeit in a vague sense, of Garp and how he became a renowned
Yeah, he
warrior,
helped
taking down
Roger,
the
didn't he?
dangerous Rocks Pirates alongside celestial dragons and Roger's crew.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
like
the
what?
makeup of this story
What?
sounds like it would make for a ridiculously engaging film.
Hell
It
yeah.
also seems as though all the emperors of the sea we are familiar with have come from the Rocks Pirates crew or some subsidiary from it.
Yeah.
Coming from Whitebeard, who came from Rocks.
Do you know what? I never thought about that. Yeah, they did, didn't they?
Red-haired Shanks as the odd one out, who they refer to as the chief of his crew, which on its own is a strange choice of terminology that must have some
but he was
sort
part of Roger's
meaning
crew, wasn't he,
behind it
so-
somewhere. But what's more is that now we know that Shanks was named an Emperor of the Sea 6 years ago, which would mean I think he became an emperor shortly before he met up with Ace in the wilderness. I wonder what he did to gain that sort of reputation. And speaking of reputation, we get shown and filled in on
Oh,
the
mate,
biggest
the bounties.
currently in circulation,
Yeah.
and even some from history. We get to see Roger and Whitebeards, which are ridiculously high, as well as the current bounties for the current emperors. During these scenes, it appears the government is skittish of the new alliance made between Kaido and Big Mom,
yeah, it's
an
like,
alliance
whoa.
that could very well be the makings of the most powerful crew ever created. Now, I hope you guys didn't mind that I didn't care too much about the bounty numbers specifically, but more so the hierarchy they were outlining. With that said, it was cool to see where Roger and all the other emperors of the sea were at the time.
Yeah, it's not
Delving now into
terribly
the main portion
important.
of the story, however, I knew something big was about to happen. Having been greeted by imagery and talk of Gol D Roger, as well as knowing full well that the rebellion was today, my expectations were sky high for this third act.
Hell yeah.
Which the act itself opens proper as more beautiful autumn imagery displays itself throughout the pages of this story. Gorgeous, sprawling shots of the harbour, as well as festivities as Orochi leaves Kyoshiro in charge of the capital while he shoves off to Onigashima. The opening to this is incredibly effective as such because
It
one
looks
second
boss.
there's positive, uplifting, gorgeous weather surrounded by celebrations and smiles, and then you turn to the next page. Crashing dark waves, smashing and swirling angrily before the samurai who are pictured in the
Oh,
this
mate.
was a stupidly effective
Look
opening,
at that.
and one I thought
It's
was
so sick.
extremely interesting. Having already established a plan of action,
Hell yeah, we're going
this
in.
should be the moment where they
20
put it
years in the
all
making.
into practice, but something's wrong. There's no one here. The Straw Hat crew, all of their allies, and all of the weapons and ships, there's nothing to show for all of their effort and work. And so, as they began this journey, they are once again left all alone with nothing to show for it. Because of this, there's a tremendous amount of foreboding tension that sweeps across our minds as Momo begs to try another day and Kinemon fails to make contact with anyone, all the while surrounded by signs of wreckage. It's a ridiculously sad and almost pathetic scene as Kinemon screams desperately into the smell, all to no reply. The following
mate,
chapter then
such
forces us to
desperation.
watch the prior 2 days build up to this harrowing, lonely moment. All through the lens of dramatic irony, as we all know how it's going to end up. Everyone seems to be going about their own preparations, but something comes to Orochi's attention. The traitor has been feeding him information, enough information, to destroy the Sunny's cave and all the various bridges linking all the areas of Wano together.
But who? But who?
All stuck, leaving them exactly where they find themselves, on the coast, looking out to Onigashima, terrified but duty-driven. I thought it was a brilliant decision to tell this story all from the perspective of the Akazaya samurai. These are the individuals that have traversed hell and back.
They
in order
really
to save
have.
their home, and now, while watching these brave and emotionally exhausted samurai march onto
Gone
their
through
certain
a
demise,
lot.
we as an audience are then cast 39 years into the past.
Like, what?
To bear witness to the best and longest flashback in the entire series.
It's incredible.
This is the
It's
life and
absolutely
adventures of
incredible.
Oden, Momonosuke's father, chronicling his story from the age of 18 up until the moment he died. And as the rest of the samurai in his stead were cast 20 years into
The future. Poor. 39 years in the past.
Immediately obvious from these opening images is how utterly breathtakingly beautiful
It's
Wano
gorgeous.
was.
Gorgeous.
Long before the likes of Kaido sunk his claws into it, the land was bountiful and alive. A great choice, I thought, was also to tell this story from the point of view of Kinemon partially. It really did go a long way into helping this be more personal for me. Seeing him as a lively young ruffian stealing boars and causing trouble while
Yeah, it's
also
nice to
trying
see, like,
his future
they
rival
haven't
Zoro
been
is
how
a
they are.
charming,
Like, they've
albeit quaint
grown
opener
and
to the
stuff has
world,
happened to
showing us that
affect
even the
why
likes
they
of
are
Kinemon
the
were
way they
once
are
young
now.
and carefree before life happened to them. The
Before
story's
life
ending
happened
goes
to
out
them.
of its way in
Jesus.
preventing us from seeing Kozuki Oden for as long as possible, building up to his eventual unveiling after introducing us to his father and his advisor. Running through the laundry list of accomplishments and wrongdoings Oden has added to his name since birth. In addition to that, we're introduced to new characters like Denjiro and reintroduced to old ones like Hyo. But then we see him cooking a pot of Oden over the cremated remains of another while totally ignorant of their shock. This is a terrific opening for the character and one that will stick in your mind. Up until now, he's been portrayed as this carefree, spirited ladies' man that
Hell
desperately
yeah,
wants to
put the
Wano
ladies
and
away in the
world, and that's exactly
boxes.
what?
What?
We get with him. However, and I
This
think
head
most
cold's still
importantly,
like.
he is a good person first and foremost, which Oda makes sure to establish right after we meet him for the very first time as he defends an entire town from the rampaging anger of a wild giant boar.
Get rid of that
By the
boar,
way,
yo.
was all Kinemon's doing, but despite that, he takes the blame for
Yeah, he
everything.
does.
This is a tremendous sacrifice, and because of this, he is disowned by his father and no
Oh
longer
no, I'm banished from the castle. Damn.
this very aspect to Oden's character
Must
that
look
leads
like I
him to
have to
carry
go
out
elsewhere.
within Wano. He isn't leading out of fear or anger or promise for something more. These strong and capable people chose to follow him because he is a man of tremendous character. Well, most of the time. There's a wonderful personable aspect to how this
Most of
flashback
the
is
time.
delivered. There's a warmness to it. It truly feels like a recanting of a distant memory cobbled together with then little pieces of public information and Oden's very own journal entries as he journeys with these newfound followers from place to place. And peppered throughout this journey are instances where, if given the chance, Oden always chooses to put himself second for the well-being of others.
Hell yeah, he puts everybody first,
this can be
man.
seen obviously through scenes where he
Yeah.
with Cat Viper and Duke Dogstorm as they are very young but being tortured.
I liked this. I liked seeing them
Perhaps
as youngsters,
the best and
man.
most obvious example of Oden's true nature is on display after he meets this man for the very first time. I'm
Whitebeard.
sure you're familiar. It's Whitebeard.
Yeah.
Young and strong, and look at that hair. This scene perhaps more obviously than any other
And
highlights the
Marco
deepest
and-
desire of Oden, and that is the desire to leave. Despite developing a great reputation around Wano through his travels, and having been reinstated as his own father's son, as soon as he hears word that a pirate ship has arrived, he dashes
Oh, he
towards
wants
it
to go.
before anyone
He
even
wants to
recognizes
go.
he's left, leading to one of the best greetings I've seen in all of One Piece. A dust cloud forms on the horizon. Whitebeard recognizes it as something dangerous coming, telling his crew to stand behind him. Then Oden dashes into the clearing and leaps into the air before clashing swords with
Yeah.
of the Whitebeard pirates. As he does so, he introduces himself and asks, "Let me ride on your ship." What follows here is a really strong moment of character.
So
on behalf of
cool.
Oden,
I love
which
him.
Cemented him as a best boy among the secondary
Hell
characters of the
yes.
story for me. He's charismatic, he's brave, but most importantly, he has a strong value system that takes priority over his own desires to realize his dreams. Whitebeard doesn't want him to come along, but as soon as he leaves, Oden leaps from the coastline and
He just
grabs
holds
hold of
on,
the
yeah.
ship, trailing after the ship.
Woohoo!
Whitebeard says that if he can hold on
Oh yeah,
for
if you can
3
hold on
days,
for so long,
he
he'll
can
go.
come along
Yeah, yeah.
and see the world. Now, the reason why I praise this as a strong character scene, however, becomes clear when we shift focus and fast forward almost 3 days later. With less than an hour left to hold on, Oden, now swollen and bruised from the grueling trip he's been taken on,
God
as soon as
damn.
he hears a woman in danger, he leaps to her aid without hesitation. It's Lady Toki, the woman he will marry. I just loved this scene, as it was, again, a great way of introducing the character we've already heard so much about, and what's more is, in seeing this, the same way Oden has won over his other followers, Whitebeard became a fan of him out of respect for what he's done.
Definitely. He's like, hey, he's actually a pretty cool guy.
I thought was a really nice touch. There are some great moments of humor with Lady Toki too, as all she wants to do is return to Wano. And
Yeah, which is the
when
opposite,
Oden
yeah.
and Whitebeard hear that after spending all this effort to leave there, their faces are hilarious. However, again, I noticed something a little interesting about this character.
Yeah.
She lets everyone know that she's 26 years old and apparently from 800 years in the past, meaning she has info regarding the Void Century. But I'm curious as to why her age is mentioned at all, and wonder if it's a coincidence that her age here is the same as Hiyori in the present-day storyline.
Huh.
It probably is a coincidence, but I just thought it's strange that she told us her exact age without much reason. I wonder if that information is necessary for deduction later. Questions, questions, questions.
God,
now,
theorize.
This is where things start to pick up and get even
Oh, I don't like that
These
guy.
flashback chapters are snippets of Orochi's life working as a commoner and servant. Originally working beneath Yasue, he eventually, through underhanded and clever means, rises in the ranks of Wano society through the help of a particular
Scumbag.
woman,
Scumbag,
the
scumbag,
power
scumbag.
of the clone
Scumbag.
fruit. The very power that we associate with Bon Clay, it's through this character we learn the motivations Orochi has for doing what he's doing. Apparently, his grandfather, Kurozumi, was a daimyo of Wano, and in an effort to become the heir of the throne, he poisoned all of the others. However, when Oden's father was born, he was forced to commit suicide, leaving his family name disgraced. Through the manipulation of this old lady's abilities and deceit, Orochi climbed up to the highest position in the land, proxy to the shogun of Wano, claiming he'd hold this position for as long as Oden was away. Now, around this point in the story, Oden has been gone for quite some time from Wano, but he has been making a name for himself. So much so, he's now on the radar of
Roger.
none other than Gol D. Roger. There are many aspects to Oden's character that make him a lot like Luffy. His determination to remain true to
He is very similar. Like, he's so
of his dreams being lost,
out there
and
and, like,
into
likable.
action head first without a plan being the other. He attacks Gol D. Roger, or
Of all
at least
people, like.
tries to. But for the first time in this flashback, Oden is sent flying.
Hell yeah, he is.
Roger is massively powerful, but unwilling to let his family down, Whitebeard.
Oh
dives
my
into
god,
action
this is
to
so
his
cool.
rescue. Their two weapons not even touching, creating a massive shockwave across the area. It's a mammoth fight and one that lasts 3 days and 3 nights.
Redonkulous.
Now, having read over 950 chapters worth of story to get to this point, the fact that Whitebeard and Roger have such a large role to play in it is both fascinating and massively enjoyable. There's a tremendous sense of fun with Roger, but also a quiet confidence in everything he does. Much like Luffy, actually. After this conflict, the two camps come together and exchange supplies. I love the goodwill that they have for each other.
Yeah, it's classic. It's like, hey, alright, we're not fighting anymore. Let's get on.
Read the poneglyphs and thus expresses tremendous interest in getting him to come with on this journey. And what follows is this super engaging story where we see Roger more in one chapter than we have in perhaps the entire story combined up until now. Giving us context for a message that was written hundreds and hundreds of chapters ago in Skypiea by Roger, and now we have confirmation that he couldn't read it in fact, but needed Oden instead. Roger had just been guided to it by the voices it emitted. As I'm sure you can guess based on the subject I'm chatting about, those chapters cover the adventures of Oden aboard Roger's crew. Which
So
honestly
sick.
makes Oden look far more meek by comparison. Roger's quite boisterous, but more specifically they detail the fascinating voyage Roger took in his final year trying to gather all the road poneglyphs. Having already one in his possession that he stole from Big Mom, knowledge of where another is, and now having learned the third is in Wano, he finally feels like his dream of reaching Rafta is in sight. Which is interesting seeing as we know that he's been pirating about for the past 13 years. I wonder if this has only recently become part of his goal. I suppose Luffy could very well be standing on the shoulders of giants in this instance. Throughout these few chapters, we are brought to various locations throughout the world where we've
already seen, which I thought was dead cool. It's like, oh yeah, we went there, we went there, we went there.
Places that we've been given small indications here and there that Roger had been there
Already.
in the past.
Yeah.
But now we have context for it. It's a really awesome trip down memory lane, and one that I can say feels like a massive reward for getting to know this universe so well over the last 950 chapters. However, when Lady Toki falls ill and they approach Wano, she insists that Oden stay on this voyage with Roger and leave Wano behind until his journey is complete. This is a really tough scene for two reasons. Oden has been the sort of free-spirited man to always seek out adventure wherever he can go. And now he finds himself being drawn back to his home.
Family!
Specifically because his family is now there. But secondly, there's something majorly negative after happening to Wano. It's changed. He hasn't been home in over 4 years at this time, and it's difficult to leave it once again. Knowing that his loved
Oh,
ones
it's
are there,
falling,
and that
it's
his health is
suffering,
needed
it's
for his
decaying.
journey. Oden is becoming a man. The rest of this tale ties up rather quickly. They stop off at Zou to see the final road poneglyph and make their way to the final destination. Shanks and Buggy didn't make it for, honestly, reasons that feel a little forced, but I'll let it slide. And
I thought it was quite funny that they hadn't.
Chapter 967, the final 2 pages.
He just laughs, yeah, it's like, what?
Spectacular close-up of the series, and it's Gol D. Roger laughing his heart out. It's revealed through Oden's journal entries that they are the first ones to have arrived there in over 800 years. They can confirm that the One Piece is real. They learn what the 100-year void is, what the Will of D
But
is,
we don't get
and what
told.
the ancient weapons are, and that Wano was once open to the rest of the world. This is the single biggest carrot ever dangled in front of me from this entire series, and
like, come on, let us know. Let us know.
One Piece greatest hits into and of itself, sort of in the same way Endgame is the MCU's greatest hits. Throughout this massive journey we've all undertaken together, to see Roger and Oden travel across the ocean, arriving at various locations, leaving the breadcrumbs that Luffy would ultimately find was such a surreal experience. And following the trail of the road poneglyphs was really fun too. But when we got to Laugh Tale, to see anything but Oden's journal entry and their expressions was a fantastic choice. No backgrounds, just characters. And it makes me wonder why they're laughing, obviously. For all the secrets of the world to be in that one spot too, it gives us a great goal to shoot.
Oh, mate, it's like, come on, why is it? It's so frustrating.
We just gotta get to it. I guess we are really now in the
endgame now.
That did catch my attention, however, immediately afterwards was the first page and first panel of chapter 968. In it we see once again Oden's journal entry citing that when Roger returned, Shanks came to him and asked him something, only to shed tears afterwards. I'm not sure if this is something to do with Roger's impending illness and death, which I'm still not convinced of just yet, or if it has to do with something entirely different. I honestly don't have anything to speculate on, but it might have something to do with going to the East Blue perhaps. But that could very well be a stretch. Needless to say, it'd be interesting to learn the contents of this particular conversation.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Returns to Wano. This is the portion of the story that begins to tug on your heartstrings
Oh,
and drag you
God,
down
this is the
to a
emotional
depth
journey now,
abyss,
isn't it?
likes of which only Oda, the crazy genius, could bring you down to. Naturally, once Oden arrives home to his wife, Lady Toki, and his 2 children, he's also made aware of the terrible circumstances that have befallen Wano. The once pristine landscape of the country
It's
is
no
slowly
longer
changing
pristine.
as spires of factory chimneys jut out from the horizon. After counsel from his trusted samurai, he hears tales of the slave camps, the torment, and the injury Lady Toki sustained at the hands of these vile individuals. Incensed, Oden launches into action, bounding towards the flower capital, into the quarters, and up to a petrified Orochi. However, it
So
quickly becomes
freaking
apparent that
cool.
conflict won't win in this instance. Orochi has surrounded himself with some terribly powerful people, but for the first time perhaps in his entire life, thanks to the work of Lady Toki, the samurai, and the growing interest to see Orochi's tyranny meet an end, the people of Wano are ready to accept Oden as their hero.
But yeah, he ends up being the fool,
When I
doesn't
turned
he?
the page and saw this panel, my heart sank. Now there's clearly more to this than
Yeah, there really is.
This is easily one of the most effective page turns in the
So he had to do this, didn't he, to protect everybody?
Building up the person Oden is and the following he's garnered, all the while establishing a sense that the people of Wano view him as a returning hero to free them from the vile human being in Orochi. In doing this, Oda puts us into the shoes of the townspeople as they watch on in defeatist disbelief. This was supposed to be the man to save them all, but instead he's dancing like a fool in the streets.
He is the city idiot now, isn't he? It's like, oh.
Long years, until one day Orochi and his crew march into Kuri, the town where Oden is residing, citing that Wano will be a weapons manufacturer. This shatters Oden, and for him, it's the last straw. And together with his Akazaya 9, he does just that, marching towards
Let's
a moment
go,
that will go down in
boys.
history as the Hour of Legends. It's revealed that when Oden confronted Orochi back then, he chose the path that would lead to the least hurt in his mind. Orochi promised that if he danced every day, he would save the people of Wano from being killed and tortured. And if he kept it up for 5 years, then Orochi and Kaido would sail away in the ships that they were building.
But they did not.
This did not happen. Incensed with purpose and anger, now stands Oden and his forces before Kaido in one of the most intimidating scenes in the series. Having been manipulated into giving Kaido and his forces time to build in strength, now on one side stands 11 samurai, and on the other, 1,000 pirates.
Yeah, who cares? Go ahead, Oden.
The conflict is captured brilliantly through these wonderful drawings. But this is when Oden gains the upper hand. Using these
Slash.
swords, slicing through the strong hide of Kaido, dealing serious damage. But then he sees his son. However, it was just a distraction, a mirage created by the clone fruit, and that minor momentary distraction was all Kaido needed to take Oden out. The battle was won in that instance. The samurai and Oden are now imprisoned, awaiting a terrifying death sentence. They are going to be
Boiled to death. This scene,
This,
oh,
once again,
incredible.
the same way he came into the story.
Absolutely incredible, this.
Accepting a terrible situation in the face of harrowing consequences on behalf of other people. Citing that if he can survive holding his companions above his head, safe from their boiling oil face, for 1 hour, they can go free.
God
The crazy
damn it.
part is,
He does it.
he does it.
Yeah.
For 1 full hour, his body is cooked by the boiling oil around him, all the while holding his friends
God
above.
damn it.
Grim death. Easily the most heroic story of the series for me, and one that shook me to my very core when I read what happened next. Knowing full well that he will last a full hour, at the last minute, Orochi changes the sentence to death by firing squad. And with that, Oden launches his friends into the sky, telling them to flee and to open Wano's borders. And with that, they dash into the distance, now driven.
Kaido just shoots him in the head.
However, he wasn't so lucky. Shot by Kaido between the eyes, his last words being, "Build your strength while you can, for I am the story to accompany your drinks." This heinous and cruel action saddens everyone deeply, but sends Denjiro into an intense rage that contorts his face, leading him to go by Kyoshiro the Mad thereafter. In the following chapter, we then finally get a chance to see how the events of Lady Toki and the samurai got thrust into the future with Momonosuke, and how Hiyori found herself to be where she ultimately ended up thanks to the helping hand of Yoshiro. These flashback sequences were a breath of fresh air and some of my favorite moments from the entire series. I think it
Absolutely
should go
amazing.
without saying
Absolutely
that
incredible.
This large flashback is the single best flashback sequence
Yep.
from the entire story.
I agree with that.
Introducing us to a brilliant
Definitely.
and lovable character in Oden as he gains friendship, a sense of duty, maturity, and family, all the while traveling across the world in search of adventure. But the next sequence of events brought such an overwhelming flood of emotion to the surface for me, I simply had to dedicate this portion of the video to chapters 974 and 975. Effectively, the last 18 chapters and, well, really the last few acts had been building, at least in part, to this moment. The moment where the rebellion they had all
Let's
fought
go.
so fiercely to keep hope alive for, and no one is here. As an audience, we are now armed with the experiences of all the loyal followers.
Like what actually
ready
happened,
to lay
why
down
they're
their
there.
lives. My heart felt heavy and sunken as I watched these poor, broken men and women stand before the roaring, fierce, angry seas, totally, utterly alone after all the hard work they had put into bringing this planet into action. Surrounded by destruction, they suspect that once again the word must have gotten back to Orochi
Oh, mate.
concerning the new plan and where it was taking place. Getting aboard this tiny boat sailing towards certain doom, they come to understand that it must be one of them.
Yep.
And then this happens. This single panel sent shivers down my
Mate,
spine.
I couldn't
The likes of
believe
which
it.
I don't think I'll ever forget, and it makes perfect sense. Going all the way back to when we first met up with Kenjiro in Dressrosa, of all the samurai they met along the way, all who cried upon seeing each other, Kenjiro was the only one not to show any emotion, and the first thing he asks is about Momonosuke's status. What's more is that dotted throughout this vast story are panels that give hints to this character being the bad guy all along. And that's honestly what I love to see in storytelling.
Oh,
After he
cool,
reveals who
yeah.
he truly is, a member of the same Kurozumi clan Orochi's part of, Kaido's massive warships begin steamrolling forward towards their small dinghy. Enraged by this news, Kinemon slices off Kenjuro's head, but it's not him.
Nope.
It's a perfect copy. But Kenjuro could never really draw that well.
Or couldn't he?
This is about where I had it pointed out to me that he had all this time been using his non-dominant hand to draw everything, and at every turn tried to prevent progress, and furthermore, he was the one that led Kaido's forces to Zou in the first place. At this point, I was totally and completely floored by the competence of this swerve. Never in all of my life have I ever experienced a story swerve exactly how the author intended me to.
So sick.
So
So sick.
perfect. This chapter captured my imagination like none other in this series and brought every single shred of hope crashing down to the lowest they have ever been in this series. And now that Oda has taken us to as low as he can possibly go, now is the time to inject hope.
The only way is up,
Suddenly, out of nowhere,
baby.
vessels meet their mark on Kaido's
Luffy's
monster
here
ship,
now.
finally breaking the cycle of
Here we
despair.
go.
See, for the very first time in so many chapters stands Luffy, pictured alongside
Here
Law
we go.
and Kid.
Yeah.
To take on Kaido
Whoop,
in the
whoop.
span of 17 pages, Oda had
Everyone's
me crying tears
here.
of sadness
Let's
and
go.
utter relief. What an outstandingly brilliant storyteller. And it's not over yet. In the next chapter, Oda raises our spirits yet again. As Orochi and Kaido ready for the festivities on the island, Luffy, Kid, and Law attack the battleships. And to make matters even better, Yoshiro is now here.
Here we
Revealing
go.
that he is in fact Denjiro to
Let's
everybody,
swerve and
much
help
to
the
dismay
boys.
of the traitor he sought to outsmart. And outsmart he did. But the true Giga Brain play of heart and not the wharf, even hiding numbers from Kanjuro that proved to be crucial in the closing moments of this encounter. My mind, man, my mind is fried in the most beautiful way. Kinemon with the galaxy brain play that saved the day.
He's like, yeah, sure, I totally meant for that.
I honestly don't think I've ever been more happy reading a story in all of my life. Sincerely, a heart-wrenching, heartbreaking, breathtaking,
yeah, I'm dead clever, mate.
harrowing moment that sent shivers to my very core. Wano is easily the best arc in One Piece for me. Like, I know it's not even done yet, but even if all Oda did was print 2.5 more acts of blank pages, this would still be better than anything he's ever done, in my opinion. And while this isn't the end of where the manga is currently right now, I think it's where I'm going to end my review, while also offering and encouraging anyone who can't wait for my next review of One Piece to drop to instead pick up this incredible story and read through it for yourself.
Yeah, I'm carrying on.
This really is a tale that deserves to be supported.
But only reading them as the manga volumes come out. Like, I don't like reading online.
Over the last half a year, I've dedicated myself to catching up to the One Piece story and to document it as authentically as I can to give you all my blind review of this wonderful series that's
Been fun. I've really enjoyed checking out these reviews, man. I can't believe I've finally got to the last one. Like,
I think it goes without saying that this experience has exceeded any and all high expectations I had before entering into this self-imposed challenge. And this quite simply couldn't have been done without my incredible editor or my One Piece team backing me up the entire way. I'll never be able to grow up with this series like I did with Dragon Ball, but during the time I wrote and reviewed this incredible tale of high seas adventure, I moved into my first home, gotten engaged, and gained a new family.
oh, you guys dogging
So
me.
I
Oh,
guess I can say that One Piece has been there for some of the most important moments of my life.
That's cute.
I can't wait to continue the story with you all, but until then, as always, I've been Totally Not Mark, and thank you so much for watching.
that was cool. Yeah. I have really enjoyed these reviews from Mark. It's quite nice. I'm happy I've managed to get through them all. Like I said, I don't know whether I want to do the movies. I might leave them, but I definitely want to check out the Checkered Fate theory. But if there's spoilers, like I said, I'll have read volume 98, so I'll be up to that. So if there's any spoilers, let me know. But yeah, I'll probably check that out. And I'm going to carry on with the Berserk reviews as well. I'm really enjoying Berserk right now. Absolutely boss. And yeah, thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video I upload, links in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month is all I ask to help support the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much for that. And thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe, and rate. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys next time.